Welcome, welcome. It's just a one-off today, getting a little bit crazy with things here. Working on CS-60. I'm simultaneously replacing all the electrolytic capacitors through the circuit, and then in addition, I am going through the process of so far I've done several boards, the power supply, etc. And now I'm to a point where I am replacing capacitors in the M boards. The M boards are the voice boards for these units. There are 8 voices with the CS-60, and there are several things that need to be done in order to get those adjusted properly. Low temperature solder paste, that's not what I want. Right now, I have come across a problem already with the M1 board, in which it tunes up fine in the +1 octave up position, but then once you get into checking the other octaves and making those adjustments, I found that the pitch drifts pretty significantly, a whole step with the first in the normal position, and then it just kind of gets worse from there. So I do need to investigate that on M1. I may or may not get to that. Kind of depends on where this goes. I hate when I can't find something that I know that I have and that I would love to use right now. I've got a high temperature thermal paste that I have used in the past. Sorry, I know the camera's shaky here. And I'd like to use now, but I'm not seeing it anywhere, so I'm just gonna go with it. Right, so looking at the boards, let me zoom in a little bit. Oh, it's not gonna let me zoom in, okay. All right, so these are the M boards 1 and 5. Basically, I like to do 2 at a time, so I can kind of go back and forth, note the discrepancies, take lots of notes, and then come back in, make some adjustments, do some repairs, and the like. There is a addendum to the service documents, which is to stabilize pitch. And essentially, I found that somebody had moved the boards, but at the same time, they did not necessarily put it in a position that I thought was appropriate. So I'm going to basically, what I'm doing right now is I'm moving that diode to lay across the IG 00153, which is the VCO. Just to give you some insights here, the CS series of Yamaha keyboards are incredible. Most notably, most known for like being part of a lot of Vangelisa's compositions, specifically like Blade Runner and Chariots of Fire. But they are pretty complex and require a lot of work to get them in tune, sounding, getting all of the VCA and VCF ADSRs properly adjusted, and the like. So, we'll just show the process as I go through it. It's not something I would recommend for a new technician, right? I didn't work on my first CS series synthesizer until I had basically been doing the tech thing for 8 years. Not only was that my first opportunity to get a CS-80 to work on, the magnificent CS-80. Love it, love it, love it. But it was also just a matter of, that's when I felt most confident that I could do this work. So I don't know if you can see that, but you're starting to see the waveform kind of get in tune, if you will. All right, so looks like I may have caused a little bit more of a problem than I had previously. I don't like that, but that's kind of the dangers of the game, right? So right now, that voice 1 board is not working properly at all. You know, somebody had removed in the past, they'd removed that VCO chip and put it in a socket, which kind of, it's fine, but you know, sometimes those sockets can have their own issues, especially over long periods of time. I don't know when that work was done. I'm going to leave it in the socket for now, but I am going to just try to clean up the pins, make sure that they're nice and stable. I've got my diode spread across that VCO in the way that it's described in the service documents. To there. Okay, I see what I did here. I need to connect need to connect some pins, I think. Let's see. So I need to connect that pin to pin 1, which it already is. I need to make sure that my diode is making contact with the transistor on the circuit. So the hard part about doing these live streams is that you know, it takes a lot of work to get this set up, and then you know, with my studio and my setup here in the shop, it can be quite difficult to work around the cameras at the moment. And I already know that I need more cameras. Appreciate folks seeing that. Okay, well, I am making contact. Just going to do a continuity check. That heat sink paste gets all over my fingers, and then I feel all weird. I feel all weird all the time, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so let's make sure we've got continuity between here and pin 1, which pin 1 there. Let's see. I see. Is it, or is it here? It's not there. Pin 1 should be here. Okay, so it says 457K ohms between the anode of my diode and pin 1. Is that pin 1? It's hard to tell. Okay. I may be incorrect on that. All right, let's do a diode check to confirm that the diode is in place. Yep, the diode's there in place. All right, so it's connected properly. All right. Now, key note about tuning these is that you want to give the synth plenty of time to warm up before performing the tuning procedures, the adjustment procedures, if you will. All right, so I've got my scope up here. Let's look at that output. Okay, and then I'm going to get my other scope on the M5 board, which I have not had an issue tuning. It's just been the M1 board so far. And let's turn that on. All right. One trick that we can do to see if, oh my goodness, working around a camera and all my tools. Well, if you're watching this live or if you come in later, feel free to leave comments. I appreciate you coming to the show. I'm going to apply some heat on that and see if that raises the temp. I didn't really mess with anything else on this except moving that diode to better lay across that VCO. But it just sounds like it's dying. So I'm turning it off. I'm going to pull that diode. The diode's good. It's in position. I'm going to pull this chip. I'm going to start by replacing that IC socket. These chips are very expensive. No longer made, proprietary technology from Yamaha. So, you know, you can find some in, I believe, Argentina, where I've actually got a LFO coming from soon for the second CS-60 that I have in the shop. I have two at the same time. Yippee. But you just want to be careful about, working. I highly recommend using a wrist strap, grounding yourself to the ground of the unit. All right, I'm going to replace that socket. Go the old-fashioned way with desolder wick, just because my desoldering gun is on the other side of the synth, and I don't feel comfortable getting it into place right now. So just using solder wick, removing solder from that IC socket. And do I have confidence that this will take care of that problem that's just appeared? No. But it's a good start, especially with these old chips. Sometimes that contact gets a little iffy. Common problems on the CS series that I have noticed is, solder. Sometimes I have to reflow solder on board, and that'll correct a lot of things. The old solder just over time dries, cracks, becomes intermittent. Let's see if I can remove that. Look at that. I got that socket out. Again, am I confident that this is going to take care of the problem? Not so much. I am going to go ahead, and while I'm here, get that FET. I'm going to pull the FET out and make sure that there's a better connection between that diode and that pin in the unit before reinstalling the VCO and seeing where we're at. In the meantime, since I'm pulling the FET out of the board completely, I can test it using one of my handy little tests. Well, it's been connected. I did my job. All right. I just want to grab my little multi-test. I have a pretty inexpensive multi-tester here that I got on one of the sites. It's nothing fancy, but it will tell me, basics about the transistor that I am connecting it to, and it'll let me know that if I've got a bad transistor. So let's see. Transistor test is fine. Okay. Put that little bugger back in. Then I'm going to take my diode, get it in position. I've actually got Vangelis playing in the background. Won't be able to hear it just because I gotta have my ears. In the spirit, I thought it'd be good to just put on a Vangelis playlist and let it run. Let it rip. Hope to God that the VCO IC itself is not bad, because again, those aren't cheap ones. The LFO that I purchased from Venezuela should be on its way for my second repair. Cost I want to say like $160, maybe just slightly less than that. But, you know, with these being proprietary, the only option you have is either somebody's got new old stock that they purchased from Yamaha way back when, or, you know, they are pulling them from dead Yamaha CS series. Basically, instead of repairing, I don't know if synthesizers were deemed irreparable or what, but sometimes they will sacrifice those chips and then sell them for massive amounts of money. Well, it just makes the repair quite more expensive. The repair itself is, you know, timely. You know, it's not exactly the easiest thing to do. That's why I recommend, again, if you're a technician that's just starting, maybe don't prioritize a CS series until you know what you're doing, you feel confident, you can read the schematics, read the service manuals. There's tons and tons of good information, especially in these Yamaha service manuals. They'll tell you exactly how the circuit works. They'll show you where the leads go to throughout the circuit. So, you know, if you're troubleshooting, you can trace things down a little bit more easily, see if there's a problem on another board, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, you really got to become familiar with the synthesizer, how it works, before you're going to be confident in doing this work. So, you know, that's just my word of warning for any future techs or techs that are already doing this. It ain't easy, and it requires lots of patience. So I'm just using isopropyl alcohol to clear points of that solder joint that I've just made. Okay. I'm gonna just do a quick check of all the wires on the board, make sure nothing's come loose. Like I said, you know, sometimes I've found that part of the problem can be a wire breaking or a solder joint that's become cold over time. Cool. All right, strap myself back in. And we're gonna put VCO back in. Okay. Now we need a little bit of heat sink compound to place underneath the diode so that it's touching the top of that VCO between a small layer of heat sink compound. All right, then that diode back over. I know the view here might not be the best. Again, I know I need more cameras. I want to get some sort of mixing situation so I can also really get a better quality audio whenever I'm doing this work from the synthesizer itself. You know, if you're watching, feel free to comment if you have any questions, concerns, want to know why I'm doing something a certain way. Be happy to answer. Just going to be kind of going back and forth. You'll see soon in the tuning process. One key thing too is adding an LED so you know which voice you're working on. I hope that's visible. It's a big part. It's one, it's a kind of a small thing, but it definitely helps in the whole process of tuning. All right, so it sounds like that VCO is working. It's come back in good shape. All right, I'm gonna come back a little bit with the camera so I can work a little bit more easily. All right, so you can see my setup here. I've got two multimeters. The multimeters are important for when you're doing the work. You've got several places that you need to, measure in order to make sure that you're approaching it right. So let me first off get in. Oh, I am on flute, high frequency. Yep. All right. So in first, I'm going to connect to EK. All right. And I'm going to measure the voltage at CP6. And it's 0.1 millivolt DC. Let me pull up what it says on here. I want to get my high resolution going on that. All right, and I'm going to share this screen again. Here is the tuning adjustment procedures from the CS-80 service documents. Again, I am working on a CS-60. The reason I have the CS-80 documents, though, is because there are some discrepancies between the service documents and procedures on how to do the tuning process. So it's kind of a matter, too, not only of understanding the schematics, having a familiarity with the synthesizer and its structure and how it's operating, but then also sorry, my brain just stopped on me there, but also comparing, right, and using the service tips from both documents to find that middle ground and find something that works best for the synthesizer. Not sure if that makes sense. I've also got my tuner right here. So this multimeter is at my TU point on the key assigner circuit. That TU point shows the center position of the tuning potentiometer on the top panel. So got to do a few things, short to EK, test the CP6, and probably most important is let the synth warm up, right? The service documents recommend 10 minutes. I do find that is kind of a key part. I'm going to get back to voice one. All right. So looking at the CS-60 tuning procedure, it says hit C7 with the octave in the 2-foot position, which I'm at right now, and then tune with holding down C7, tune within 1 cent. Right now, what you're seeing the two boards that I have. I'm going to turn off that one. Here's the board I'm working on, and the tuning in here says 4,186 hertz. No, you did not watch the VCO chip on your CS-60 die in real time. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Basically, what you saw was an issue with the IC socket that VCO was sitting in. Again, sometimes those pins start to get corrosion, and it causes all sorts of issues. But we're listening to that VCO right now, and it is working properly. Let me tune. Okay, so my Boss TU12EX tuner says that I am within 1 cent. I could probably get it just a little closer. Okay. And then I check the low C. It's got a little bit of waver in it. Okay. Come back up to the high C. Says it's in tune. Reads 4,193 kilohertz on the thing, on my frequency counter on my oscilloscope. Close, close, close. Now I'm going to change octaves. Perfect. So last time, before I started doing this live, when I shifted that octave, it went down a whole note. So instead of being able to tune to C, I could only mess around with D. But now we are back and able to tune that C. Then I go down an octave. And then I work with another trimmer. Okay, looks in tune, in tune, in tune. I'm gonna back that off just a little bit. There we go, that's better. Check the low C. Okay, so it's in tune at the moment. Just so you can hear. So there are 8 M boards in this circuit, and you can hear that there's some tuning discrepancies between them. Let me go back to M5, which is the second board I have. Turn down that volume again so I don't lose my mind. All right. Need to give that just a little tweak. Okay. That looks good. Check the octaves. Cool. All right, so the initial tuning process has been completed. And then we go and we move to the next part. There's the circuit board. I'm in the service document, so I need to scroll. Check, check. Okay, so we've done the pitch adjustment, and then we get to the envelope generator for the VCF, which means I need to put the unit into panel mode and add 10 volts to AL, IL, DF, RF. So let me find those again. I'm going to undo my oscilloscope there. There's AL. There's attack. 9.37. Okay, AL, check. IL, check. DF, my decay, check. RF, my release. And again, this is working on the VCF, or the voltage controlled filter. And what I'm doing is I'm setting up the panel in such a way that I can begin working on the attack and adjusting that. Cool. So now I go to the AF terminal. I think that's it. Nope. All right, get my handy little circuit board printout here. AF is brown. Yep, I see it right there. And then I reach across the board and I turn this attack to 8 volts. And try to get as close as possible. I'm at 8.02233 volts. All right, that is as close to 8 volts as I'm going to be able to get. Now, I'm adjusting the attack time for the voltage control filter. I'm pulling up the CS-60 so that I can also double check that we're on the same path here. Okay, release is short, IL, AL high. Okay, cool. Now I need to put my guy on test point 1. I'm going to do this on both circuits. Remove that short from the EK circuit as well while I'm in here. That was for the initial tuning. Past that, we're moving on to the attack of the voltage control filter. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hide the service document from your view for a moment and get back to this so you can see setup. All right, so here's my oscilloscope. I know the view's not great. Maybe I can turn that off. Yeah, it's just going to have to be what it is. All right, so I'm setting the mode to normal mode. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Centering all the triggers. And let's see if we can get an image. Okay. I want it to be on 1 millisecond. All right, so what you are seeing on this screen is the attack time of the VCF. And I need it to be 4 milliseconds. Make that just a little bit bigger. Cool. Now my horizontal or my time base on the oscilloscope, I've got it set to 1 millisecond. So we can see right now that instead of a 4 millisecond attack time, it's closer to about 2.5. So we are going to take care of that. All right, so I've got 8 volts going in there. And we're going to be working with VR15. Doesn't matter how often I do this, I always have to check. Okay, so we made it shorter. Now we've got it longer. And we're almost there. Close. All right, that's going to be close enough for me right now. Now I'm going to change the time base to 20 milliseconds, right? And then I'm going to adjust my attack to represent 3 volts coming into the VCF. All right. And so slowing down the attack. You can see right there. So the attack time is way too long in that position, right? This is one of the big complaints too with this. So what I do next is I will adjust that attack time and make it even longer. Then I go back and I do the short attack time. So I can't remember which direction is longer. That's shorter. There we go. And then I make my attack time short again. Adjust my oscilloscope and we look at that one. Okay, so now it's way long. So I go back to VR15 and we want to shorten that back to 4 milliseconds. A little bit too much. So when I was talking earlier about having some patience and maybe this not being a good job for a newer tech, this is absolutely what I'm talking about, right? Because you're going to have to just go back and forth until you get it correct. All right, so our 4 millisecond attack time, our short attack time is good. and then we go back and we screw it up, because I know that the longer attack time is not good. All right, well, we're better. We're definitely a lot better. So again, looking at my oscilloscope, I'm 20, 40, 60, 81. And then these increments are, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 20 milliseconds divided by 5, that would be 4 milliseconds at the notch. I mean, what I'm looking for is 125 milliseconds. I think we've already not nailed it, which makes me extremely happy. Okay, so that's the M1 board. And let's go to the M5 board. Again, I've got two M boards out at the same time. I've already recapped them. And now I'm going through the process of adjusting the VCF attack. All right, so let's look at a different channel. And we're back at 8 volts. There it is. Move that boy down. Oh, wrong one. There it is. Way too short. At 3 milliseconds. Okay, 4 milliseconds, pretty close. I can do better. All right, I want to say that that's probably good. Yeah, there it is. Now, lengthen the attack time. Change my reference. 20 milliseconds. Okay. Well, I made a boo-boo there. Let's shorten the attack time again. I don't think that I had the correct adjustment there, which happens. Yeah, I was way off. There it is. All right, let's try that again. Grow it, come on. Too much. There, 4. And slow attack time. now we're cooking. All right, you can see that that attack time is way too long compared. It's kind that we can see M1's attack time in comparison there. You don't always get it like that. All right, so now I need to, it sounds opposite, but I need to lengthen the slow attack time. Wrong direction. There we go. And then go back to the quick attack time. Okay. So it's just back and forth, slow and quick. There is an alternative way of doing this work where I would hook up a function generator and just send a 5-volt square pulse wave to the trigger pin, and it would just automatically update. But that means I'd have to desolder the board to access that trigger pin, and it's not something that I'm really wanting to do, especially because you kind of have to wait a few minutes. You know, again, the service documents recommend waiting 10 minutes after turning it on before performing these procedures. So I'll just press keys. It's close. Let's see what long looks like. Oh, you see how close it is? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it's too short. Still too short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're close. But I'm also seeing that my M1 board is off. Let me try that again. Yeah. All right, so we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just a little bit too short. Wrong way. This is why it takes so long to get your CS back in service, because it really is a patient, slow game. And these trimmers on these boards, while they're good, I mean, they're very rarely have I ever had to replace a trimmer on the M board, but you have to be patient with it because they can jump. All right, let's see where we're at. So we are at 20, 40, 60, 80, 120, just shy of that 125. Okay. You know, it might be good practice to replace the trimmers on the M boards. Use a more precision trimmer, like 100 turn type trimmer. But it's not something that it needs to be done, really. Not if you can get it in. Eventually, you can get it into that sweet spot. You know, that's just a matter of time. All right, let's count again. 20, 40, 60, 81, 20, and now are just a little long. Thanks for coming to the channel. If you just joined us, we are in the process of tuning the VCF attack for a Yamaha CS-60, and others in the chat can probably tell you it's a time-consuming process. Oh, please be there. 20, 40, 60, 81, 20. Just a little bit too long still. We're real close. This in-between time where you see me with my arm over the panel is me setting up the time so I can get a proper reading. All right. If you're a synth nerd that wants to get into the tech side of things, it wouldn't be bad exercise. I've recommended this to other techs before. It's just like looking at service documents and reading about how the theory of how the synthesizer works, becoming familiar with the synth that way, even before working on it, just to learn. And go back slow. And count. Oh, we're too short now. 20, 40, 60, 81, 20. But who wants homework? When I was first getting started, that's kind of the name of the game, is reading service manuals, becoming familiar with circuit theory, understanding some of the big differences between these vintage synthesizers is literally how their VCOs are structured, how they do the filtering. There we go. And slow it down again. And count. How am I getting slower or shorter? Maybe that's why. I'd like to tell you that this is the difficult part. Once you get past this, it gets easier. That's not really how it works. 3 volts, 20 milliseconds, and counts. 20, 40, 60, 80, 1, 20. Again, back to too long. I have a feeling we're real close now. I feel like I've said that about 3 times now, though. There. Okay. $20, 40, 60, 80, 1, 20. Just a hair too long. Cool. Now, I swear sometimes if you breathe on this thing the wrong way, it'll jump. $20, 40, 60, 80, 1, 20. Just a hair too short. Okay, I think. I have a good feeling this time. $20, $40, $60, $81, $20. No! Maybe if you're watching, this is what turns you away from becoming a synth tech. It's definitely an exercise in patience. Okay. Nope. Searching for an in-between. Might have to be it. Yeah. Oh, I like this. 20, 40, 60, 81, 25. We got it. We did it. Okay, so like I said, though, I'm seeing that the MR1 board is not aligned. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to next adjust VR18 for 0 volts. This is the sustain level. So I need to monitor test point 1. Love me some test point 1. Okay. Yes. And I'm VR18. I remember where that one is. Want to get to 0 volts. I'm at 53 millivolts. Now I'm at negative. Now I'm at 2 millivolts. Actually, I'm at 1 millivolt. And it wants it done within 10 millivolts, which is like, why not do it within 1 millivolt? Yes. Yes. Just a little more. Need like 6 cameras to give you all the views. So I have just adjusted the sustain level. Let me do that for board 1 as well. Okay, so I've been on live for about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to step outside, take a little bit of break, stretch my back, and then when I get back, I'm going to finish the VCF attack time on the M1 board that I had started. And then we'll start working on the high pass and low pass filters and how it resonates on each M board. Should be a little bit easier than doing the attack and the sustain. And that will actually come back up because I'll have to adjust the attack and sustain for the VCA, or the voltage controlled amplifier. And then I'll adjust levels, and then I would be done with the M boards. These two M boards. The process needs to repeat 4 more times to get all 8 voices. But, you know, if you are watching, just hang out for a minute. I'm going to take a break, stretch my back, and then come back, and we will continue the process. I'll see you soon. Check, check. And I'm back. All right. Just an aside. Gonna have to go back to the M1 board and set those adjustments up again. Hopefully it won't take too long. But same problem as far as I've just got to get that slow attack time correct. And yeah, just thanks for being patient as far as me needing a break. I found that standing, I start to get some pain in my back and my hips. So I just have to kind of do some movements to get rid of that. But yeah, let's get back to focus on the CS-60. Let's see. All right. I'm going to hide the service documents here, give a kind of a better look here. All right. So we're focusing on the M1 board again. We're at the slow attack. And test point 1. Okay. Let's count. 20, 40, 60, 81. And it's way too short. Okay. Must not have counted properly the first time. My test point is off. Okay, I went long. Need to go short. 20, 40, 60, 81. Shorter. 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 Cool. Set my attack time to a quick attack. Change my parameters on my oscilloscope. Center. Check it. Boom. Now we are at 3 milliseconds. We need 4. Closer. Got Evangelist playlist in the background. My YouTube's not monetized, so I don't think it'll get taken down, but just going with it. Slow that attack time. Change. Count. 20, 40, 60, 81, almost 120. So we need to, it's too short. We need to make it shorter. Done. Back to the quick release, quick attack time. Cool. Slow it down. $20, $40, $60, $80, $120, just a little too short. So we shorten it. And back to the quick. Four milliseconds. And long. $20, $40, $60, $81, $25. We're good. That one's done. All right, so now I go back to checking the sustain level with my volts meter. All right, within 250 microvolts. I'm happy with that. Okay, and then we move to the resonance. Let me set that up. Oh yeah. There was a good website that I found back when I was working on the CS-80, and the resonance section in the service documents are a little bit wonky. We're going to start off with the high pass filter. So I need to connect to CP2. In order to view that. All right. Let me set up my scope again. I'm going to have it in auto mode. Make sure that all the points are aligned. Get my leads so that I can check the outputs. Okay. Now, again, I'm blending the instructions from the CS-80 and the CS-60 in order to get what's best for the synthesizer. Turn that off. You can hear that nice resonance. Check my specs. I'm going to put the calibration procedures back up. All right. We are now working on high pass and low pass resonance controls. So set my feet at 2 feet. That's good. Brilliance is centered. Resonance is max. VCO section has the square waveform on. VCF is high, high. Okay. High pass filter is set for center. That's from the CS-60 manual. All right. So pressing C1. Let me get to my board I'm working on. Get a better view of that. Right. I'm going to turn off channel 2 for now so we can focus on channel 1. Now you can see, I don't know if my mouse is, yeah, you can see here the waveform shape, and there's a lot of discrepancy on how hot that should be. That's why I've got that website that I saved, and then also I'm just going to basically kind of work with what they've found. So for the high pass filter, I want 7.6 volts peak to peak, which right now it is not close. And I'm going to adjust VR 7 and 8. So 7 is what I start with just to get that max resonance. Okay, max resonance. Let's see what we got. Not very solid yet. I'm going to shape that waveform. I'm basically just going back and forth here. Want to get that peak on top and below the waveform. I'm going to back that down and just adjust that peak a little bit better. See if we can get a little bit higher output. It's at about 8 volts. Right there, I'm basically just adjusting my high pass filter to get the max resonance, and then I'm working from there. Turn off channel 1 for now and go and work on the resonance over here. Wow. Oh, yeah, I'm stuck at 500 millivolts. Constantly going back and forth. Let's check that against channel 1. Pretty close. Turn my counter off. I don't need that right now. Let's freeze in time. All right, so the 2 resonances on M1 and M5 look good for the high pass filter. Now we go to the low pass filter, and I'm going to set my panel. So turn the high pass filter low, the resonance low. Oh, you know what? I did that wrong. Let me get that right board. Cool. All right, so set my high pass filter low, resonance of the high pass filter low, resonance of the low pass filter high, and we go up to high C. Okay. Now I'm going to mess with the low or the high pass filter knob to get the highest output I can. And again, we're working on the low pass filter now. And we want to be looking at CP3, which is on the other side of the board. Okay. Ah, it's so loud. Okay, so voltage peak to peak for the low pass filter should be 1.6 volts peak to peak. Right now I'm at 1.3. Let me make sure that that's the peak resonance level I can get to. Oh, look, looky there. Let's turn off channel 2 for now. And adjust the Q. Manual says for 2.2, and we're at 2.4. I'm going to call that good. Move to the other board. And change my scope. Get back to 500. And fortunately, I can kind of compare the two channels at the same time. So let's see where our resonance peak is. Right there. And then just barely adjust this so that the two are matching in some ways. Okay. That's 1.86. I think I can get a little bit more. Let's get 2.2. 2.26 volts peak to peak. Cool. And then once again, I'm going to go back and check my low pass filter. Got to get at the correct test point. Okay, so in adjusting the low pass, the high pass changed a little bit. So make sure that's my peak. Q. It's at 10 volts. That's a little bit wild. 7.84, pretty close. Hey, look, they match. All right, I think I like that. Turn these down. Get my high C going. Different test point. We're going for 2.2. It's right there. So M1's good. M5 could use just a little tweak. .2. Cool. So I'm going to call the resonance good for now, and we'll move on. Now for the envelope generator of the VCA. Here are the CS-80 instructions. I'm going to have to set up my panel. All right. Oh, that's the VCF adjustment again. There we go. Now the envelope generator. All right. Attack decay short. Sustain at 0. Release is short. I'm done with the VCF, so I'm going to turn that off for now. Let's turn on just Cool, cool. All right, so sustain, everything's down, VCF level is down. All right. Using our digital voltmeter at test point 2. Those lights that I showed to demonstrate the what's the word I'm looking for? All right. VR17 for 200 millivolts. We're pretty close. Got it. Plus or minus 20 millivolts. And we're plus or minus 5 millivolts. So good there. Way off on that one. Cool. So the initial level has been adjusted. Okay, now we go and we set up the VCA to work on its envelope generator. And we do that well. I'm going to open up the sustain so I can watch where I'm getting it. All right, we do that by the VCA attack. We are going to set for 8 rolls. Closest I can get. Now we look at test point 2 with our oscilloscope. And there. All right, so that's set up. Now we need to get our oscilloscope ready for this. Channel 1, perfect. All right, where am I going wrong? Oh, microseconds, that's why. Need milliseconds. There we go. All right, I like a big waveform, so I'm going to move that down. I'm going to do the same with channel 2. All right. And just like the VCF section, we're going to make adjustments to shorten or to lengthen the attack time to the correct expectations. All right, so BR16. That's pretty much right at 4 milliseconds. Let's do channel 2 real quick. I'm going to try and make this a little bit quicker than the VCF adjustments, because that was painful. Pretty good. All right. Now we move our attack time so that it represents 3 volts on the multimeter. We're there. Change the time frame of the scope. Twenty, 40, 60, 81, 20, 40, 60. Wow. So we got to lengthen it and then go back. All right. Let's do channel 1 while we're still here. Twenty, 40, 60, 81, 20, 40. Again, too long. So lengthen. And back to the short attack time. Oh, too long. Almost made that mistake again. And back to long attack time. $20, $40, $60, $80, $1, $20, $40. Still too long. Okay. $20, $40, $60, $80, $1, $20. Almost there. Almost. Actually, you know, I'm thinking I'm going to call that okay. 20, 40, 60, 80, 120. Yeah, that's pretty close to 125. And back to a short attack time. All right, 4 millivolts or milliseconds. Still too long. Good. Just a smidge too long now. I hear a CS-80 in the background. Like that. 20, 40, 60, 80, 120. Now it's too long. Okay. Maybe channel 2 will be better. $20, 40, 60, 80, 120. Pretty close. Back to short. And source to channel 1. Like that. Yep, 20 milliseconds. $20, 40, 60, 80, 120. Still a little too long. Cool. Channel 1. Tell me you're in better shape. 20, 40, 60, 80, 125. Perfect. Okay, so channel 1's good. We can focus back on channel 2. And go to shorts. Ever so slight of an adjustment. $20, 40, 60, 80, 120. Just a little too long still. Just a little too short now. (2040, 60, 80, 2040, 60, 81, 25). Cool. All right, so I've adjusted the attack time for the envelope generator of the VCA. Next is going to be gain adjustments. So I need my oscilloscope on CP4. Put it in 8-foot 248. VCF level at 0. We want sine wave. We want sustain at 10. Attack down, level up. All right. Get my oscilloscope going again. Let's do channel 1. Let's center those. All right. C4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're looking for 1 volt peak to peak. It's a little hot, so we're going to adjust VR11. Let me get my little board trimmer cheat sheet here. There, that's a little easier for me to see. All right, VR11. One volt peak to peak. Coming to you. No. It's a good representation of 1 volt peak to peak. And channel 2. Cool, cool. Actually, no, that's not cool because I had not set it up correctly. And here we go. Now we can say cool because I'm going to get it right there. Look at that. Pretty close. All right, so now we're going to turn down that, turn up that, get our resonance off. And we're looking for 800 millivolts peak to peak, so not terribly far off, but we're going to get it there. Okay, so I'm looking for 800 millivolts between this point and this point. That looks pretty good. Actually, that was the wrong circuit board, wasn't it? Looks even better when it's the correct circuit board. I like it a lot. All right, now we turn down the VCF, turn back up the sine wave, and we are looking at CP5. Working on channel 1, we need 400 millivolts. Okay, right about there. Channel 2. Real hot. A little bit of offset there. That's fine. Now VCA gain 4. Coming at you from the outs of the M board. We are looking for 80 millivolts now. So it's going to be a real quiet signal once I'm done with this one. Okay, we need to get a better scope signal. We're doing it on one, we better do it on both. Okay. VR14. What happened? All right, it's going to be as close as I'm going to get. I'll be honest, I don't like I don't like these specific instructions. I don't think they're correct. Check, check. Okay. Let's get back. Let's get back to CP5, shall we? Sometimes you need to go forward and backward and just recheck your things. And I'm going to go by this document now. So I want to do, just going to do one channel for now. And it says not the sine wave, but this. I think I need to look and find if there's a better service manual, because I'm not real fond of that. 300 millivolts RMS. And CS-60 manual says, okay, 240 millivolts. Okay, I can do that. Increase it just a little bit. Okay, so now I need to adjust the deflection, which in order to do that, I have to remove the wire from the output terminal so I can get a good eye on the output level. Basically, we're adjusting for deflection, so we're trying to get that output pin to bounce as little as possible when a key is depressed. All right. And let's look at our M5 board. All right. So these two M boards have been adjusted. Oh shit. Let me get the outputs of those boards back in place. All right, let's turn it back on. All right. Had a few viewers today on the live stream. Thank you for stopping by. If you're watching this in the future, feel free to leave any kind of comments, like, subscribe, all that nonsense. But, if you have any kind of questions about what I was doing here, I hope that I was pretty descriptive. It's a slow and tedious process. And so I've got 2 of the 8 M boards ready to rock and roll. I think that once I repeat this process 4 more times, then everything should sound pretty good and we should be able to button it up and say goodbye. So I'm just going to press one note so you can hear the difference in the boards. Let's find a setting with low sustain. Still quite a bit of difference, but again, I've only done 2 of these boards. You know, I'll probably be back on it tomorrow. Who knows? I may live stream that process too, because I'm going to put these boards back in, get the next 2 sets of board out. I'm going to have to desolder, replace capacitors, then go through the whole adjustment procedure again with 2 other boards. So thanks for watching. If you have watched, I appreciate the eyeballs. I appreciate any kind of conversation you might want to have about the CS-60 or any synthesizer for that matter. Just, you know, I'll be around.